What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of the Big Five Pod, episode number 107. Cope, that is insane. Wow. I'm, of course, your co-host, Kyle Morello. Next to me, co-host Jay Copestick. Cope, we are in the full swing of things in conference play. So I have to ask you, how's it going?
It's going well. It was only at one game this past week, which is the least I've attended maybe all season, just hitting one game in a week. Was that? But it was a big one.
I was
I
about to
was at the
say,
Garden for St. John's Villanova. Great atmosphere, great game. We'll get more into it, but was up there for that. And then unfortunately, my Broncos lost yesterday, but they made the playoffs. I think they have a quarterback that's going to help them compete, but they scored on the opening drive. I was very excited. That was one of the best football moments I've had since they won the Super Bowl in 2016. And they followed that up with not scoring another point for the other 57 minutes of that game. So that was fun, but it was a good year for them. So anyway, they're out. I don't have a horse in the race as far as the NFL goes. So I'm totally locked in, dialed in now on college hoops as I have been all year, but now I don't have my football distraction for a day or two a week. So good time because conference play is underway. We're fully underway in phase number two of the season, Kyle.
yes, we are. Yes, we are. Listen, I still hope the Eagles do well just for the city, can't be mad at that. But sorry about your Broncos. It's not an experience I've had in some time. So we're not gonna spend too much time on the NFL this time, though. We're gonna get right into the swing of things here because we have a lot to go over. So Cope, start us off. Cope's quick hitters, get that ball. Let's run this break. What do you got for me?
Yeah, all I got's one for you. It's going to be a gasser up and back the court, up and back on the court here. Some Temple news. Lynn Greer's been suspended again, this time indefinitely for conduct detrimental to the team. This was announced on Saturday. The day of this recording is January 13th. This was on Saturday, January 11th. Temple put a statement out right before their 73-70 win at Rice. And in a video from alsdaily.com, who interviewed Adam Fisher after the game, they were told that during this suspension, he will not be practicing with the team. So, unfortunate news here. Temple, I think their best version of themselves is with this guy on the floor. I think him and Mashburn can be a dynamic duo. Just never got to see him get his feet under him and really get reps and build and integrate into this team, which is unfortunate. I don't have any other details besides that. The statement from Temple, any answers in press conferences after, it's pretty mum. The details are very small. We know he's suspended. What it's for, not really sure at all, but he will not be with the team for God knows how long. I hope it's not that long. They have a big game coming up Thursday, and as they get into the gauntlet of the American slate, this would be a guy that would really help them out. So hope to see him on the floor soon. But in the interim, he is suspended from the Temple Owls with no timetable for his return. And with that, Kyle, that is all.
Wow. Quick hitters indeed. And yes, hopefully,
Yes,
I'm
sir.
sure we'll talk about it a little bit when we get to Temple, but hopefully he comes back sooner than later and the suspension's not too long, but I don't know. Don't want to speculate. I have no idea what happened, but uh not great. Not great for Temple. Anyway, Cope, we had a lot of games this week. I was at a couple, you were at one, a lot of games in between. So why don't we give our winners and losers? I'll let you go first. Let's hear some winners from this week, Cope. Who do you got?
My winner from this week, and it's tough because we don't have an unscathed team in terms of wins and losses. I'm going with LaSalle. They did lose to Loyola Chicago at Glazier. Unfortunately, the first loss at Glazier Arena for the Explorers, but they went up to St. Bonaventure, who was 14-2 going into that game. They pushed that game to overtime. Deuce Jones, Kyle, probably has the moment of the year so far in the Big Five, probably
I
has the
think so.
shot of the year in the Big Five right now with that banked in shot in overtime. He's come along very nicely. He seems to be way ahead of schedule with how he is contributing to the team and is now starting games, hitting big shots. And Fran Dunphy, since he took over as the head coach at LaSalle, he is 2-0 up at the Riley Center against his good friend Mark Schmidt. So unfortunate that they lost to a shorthanded Loyola Chicago team, but you look at who LaSalle started out playing. at Dayton. They get Loyola. They have to go up to the Riley Center to play St. Bonaventure. Would anybody have thought they would have even won one of these games preseason? That's as hard as you can possibly draw. And I know Loyola's banged up, and they haven't gotten off to the start that people thought that they would. But just for LaSalle to win one of them, honestly, I don't think anybody gave them a chance in those first three games they played. For them to sneak out one of them is big, and for Deuce Jones to have a marquee moment for the Big Five for LaSalle, and quite frankly, in his young career here, that was a big, big winner for me. And then moving on, Kyle, I have to I have to say Villanova as well. I know they lost to St. John's, but the win that they had against Connecticut earlier in the week was the best win in the Kyle Neptune era. And that's saying something because they beat a North Carolina team last year in the Bahamas that was a number one seed in the NCAA tournament. But that was the best win in the Neptune era. It was a total team effort. Jordan Longino was very good. Jameer Brickus made some big plays, although maybe the points don't jump off the page for Mr. Brickus. He was great in this game. That was his first like big test in the Big East. He looked great. He looked comfortable. You got a damn good game from Eric Dixon. You got a really good game from Wooga Poplar, who continues to impress and play well. But the reason why they're a winner, even though they split this week, was with 22 seconds left in that game, they had to basically make a goal line stand. They had to get 3-4 straight stops on Connecticut, who had the ball into their basket multiple times. That one was a Jordan Longino block. The other missed shot, tips off somebody, goes out of bounds. Longino makes another block on Alex Caravan. They called it a foul. I have no doubt in my mind that that thing was not a clean block. That was
Pretty
he
much
got all
everybody
ball.
agrees with you too, by the way.
Yes, it was all ball, and that's like he's Longino's been playing so well, and for him to have first of all the first block he had was massive, and then he is this one where he really sticks with Caravan from the 3-point line in, goes straight up, gets all ball. Even if he didn't block the shot and Caravan had gotten off a clean look, he made it a very tough look for him. And I felt like it was only right that Caravan went to the line. And for the first time, as you pointed out to me, for the first time in his career, he went to the free throw line and he bricked both of them. And he missed both of them in Villanova and ended up getting a huge win. So that was a massive win for them, a marquee win for them on the year, on Kyle Neptune's tenure. But that's a win that gets them exponentially closer to the tournament picture. Had they won Saturday against St. John's, they really would have been there. And they're close, but they got to string together some good wins and knock off a UConn S team in the top of the Big East to continue their march and their climb, if you will, out of the hole that they kind of dug themselves to start the year. So I want to touch on the St. John's game just before I get to you, Kyle, because I saw a classic Big East game at a sold-out Garden. The Johnny's fever is back. Rick Pitino has the place rocking. There's interest, investment in the program. They had 10,000 rally towels with Lou Carnesecca's name on it, and I believe it's 526 wins that he had at St. John's. I know he has the banner up from the ceiling, but they made rally towels of it in the red. The place was rocking. It was a great game. Villanova started out 5 of their first 7 threes. The problem was, Kyle, they shot 5 for their next 19. They hit St. John's with the right-handed hook early, and they took it personally. Villanova was down late. They were taking shots late in the clock in the second half. There was really no open looks for them late in this game. They turned up their defense, and R.J. Lewis did something that only 5 people in a St. John's uniform has ever done, and that's put up 30 points and 10 rebounds in a game. This guy was everywhere. He was defending Jameer Brickus. He was grabbing offensive rebounds. He had 5 just in the second half, and it felt like it was his energy and his work ethic, as Rick Pitino said, on the glass. That was the difference in this game. I mean, St. John's out rebounds Villanova 44-28, and that was the difference, especially offensively in this game. 17 offensive rebounds for those Johnnies. It felt like the second half, Kyle. It almost felt like every possession was almost like the end of the UConn game, where it's like Villanova they're making good plays. They just couldn't get a stop and get a kill and retain possession. It's like a shot goes up, it bounces around. St. John's is getting 50-50 balls. RJ Lewis is everywhere. He shot 16 free throws, Kyle, just in the second half of this game. Shot 20 for the game. Villanova only took 17 as a team for the game. So he was everywhere. He's going to be critical to St. John's and their upside because as a team that does not shoot the three ball well, they will defend their ass off as any Rick Pitino team does. Pressure, he calls it, the Rick Pitino says the mother-in-law defense, constant nagging and harassment. They will press you all the way up the court. They will be in your face. They will try and blow up screens, blow up dribble handoffs. Three-pointers, you're not really going to get clean looks. You're going to have to really get by them, which is a hard enough thing to do anyway against the Pitino team. And rebounding wise, Kyle, they're gonna kill you almost like you see Houston do. Like seeing that St. John's game, you know what it reminded me of? You ever seen that scene in Shawshank Redemption where they find the hammer that Andy Dufresne dug the hole with and it's down to a nub?
Yep.
That to me is like what playing St. John's like will do to you. If your team is the hammer, you will come away looking like that after a game with them. They will just wear on you defensively, kill you on the glass because if they don't have that 3-point shot that a Villanova team does and can put up points in a hurry, they will grind you down and win that way. So that's a team now that's 14-3, St. John's. Villanova played them tough. Played them tough. It's going to be awesome to see them come to Villanova and play a game because that should be terrific when they come down here. Now you have Nova with the home crowd. But I saw a great game, and Villanova was leading, and they were in this for most of the time. But it was those Johnnies that just wore them down on the glass and defensively and ended up pulling away at the end. So I'll take Villanova as a winner. Very long answer. The fact that they split, I think, is a big win. And a month ago, nobody would have thought that would have happened.
No, no,
Okay.
I very much agree with you. And I'm sure it was an incredible environment, like you said. I don't think I didn't get to watch on TV. We were at a friend's birthday that I was at, so I was doing that. But great environment. Congrats to you, by the way, for that question on Patino. That was a really good one. He gave a great answer, and go check out Cope's Twitter if you have not seen that. It was definitely a good one, and obviously, he's Rick Pitino. It's pretty cool. On my end, I was gonna choose Deuce Jones as my winner of the week. You did mention him and kind of summarize that perfectly. He did also get A10 Freshman of the Week or Rookie of the Week. I don't know exactly how they present it, but Freshman of the Week. So I was gonna choose that. I'm not going to now though. Again, you said nobody was unscathed, and this team was not either. And this might be a little bit of a surprise for a winner, but I am going to go with St. Joe's because of the way that they bounced back later in the week from their loss early in the week. So they traveled down to Pittsburgh and went to overtime with Duquesne, had a chance to win at the buzzer. They threw up a lob to Justice Adjabor with 1 second left. He didn't quite get a good touch on it. Went to overtime and lost. It wasn't a good loss. It's not that's a team they should beat. Although we had mentioned on the last pod that they did playing better Duquesne, and I know it's on the road. It's hard to win in conference play on the road, but probably a game they should have won. I know this team was frustrated. They came out on Saturday, Cope, guns a-blazing, firing away on all cylinders. It was insane. And for those of you who were there, you saw it. For those of you who were not, I'll explain it real quick. First of all, I don't know if it was at 100% capacity by the time the ball was tipped. Crowd was pretty good though. It was Alumni Day. There's a lot of people there honoring Hawks of the past and whatnot. But the current team came out and just swarming on defense. Not something you hear a whole lot with the St. Joe's team. At least that's not the attention they get. They get the attention for their offense. And especially this one possession, I think it was about 17:50 left in the first half. So it was first few minutes of the game. I don't know which guard in Loyola had the ball. I forget exactly, but Xavier Brown was guarding him and was just absolutely clamping him. The bench was going crazy right there, like clapping in their faces. Crowd was going nuts. And then he forces a turnover, hits the ball off of the guy's leg, goes out of bounds, turnover. Ignited the crowd. They didn't look back from that second. And their shots were falling. They scored a season high 53 points in the first half for any half, not just the first half. Scored 93 points in a game, which I think was their high for the season as well so far. It was a great bounce back game. And Billy Lang said afterwards, like, hey, this needs to be what we do. We need to be pit bulls on defense. We need to be aggressive. And that can translate to offense. And it did in this game. And I think if they can build on this, I know consistency has been a problem with the Hawks in the past, especially this year. If they can really build on this and this style of play, they're not going to win every game by 30 something points. Obviously, it's just not realistic. They're not even going to win every game, of course. But if they can compete and close out games and have that pit bull mentality, I think the sky's the limit for this team. So they're my winner of the week for the way that they bounced back against a loyal team that had just come to LaSalle and beaten them earlier in the week. Uh, I know we mentioned their injuries and whatnot too for Loyola, but it was a good win. It was a good bounce back win. They needed that. So they are my winner for the week, Cope. Unfortunately, we also have to pick a loser this week, Cope, and I really, really, really hate to beat a dead horse here. I really, really do. And I'm going to keep it short, but it is going to be Penn because, and I know you could talk about the road trip. I know we talked about it on Spaces on Sunday with Aaron Bracey about that road trip that you experienced when Penn football went up there when you were working for them. I know it's not easy. I know it's not easy to win on the road in conference play, as I just mentioned. The Startman team's not that good. And to open Ivy League play with a loss up there when you're trying to have a bounce back from a disappointing non-conference schedule is, well, exactly that. It's disappointing for Penn. And they still yet have not figured it out exactly what has been going wrong for them. And I know we've talked about it before with their three-point percentage regression from their shooters that they either had or brought in. And this is a team that likes to shoot a lot of threes. They're 60th, I think, in the country in three-point attempts for field goal attempts, meaning like how many of their shots are three-pointers. This is supposed to be Steve Donahue's identity and Penn's identity, and it's worked in the past, but it's not working this year. And it's unfortunate. And like I said, I wish I didn't have to be so negative, but unfortunately, they are my loser this week because I think Dartmouth is usually toward the bottom of the Ivy League and a team that they probably should beat, and I've beaten in the past plenty, and did not happen this time. So unfortunately, Cope, Penn's gonna have to be my loser for this week. And hopefully they can get out of that at some time soon. Hopefully they become a winner at some time soon, but I don't know. That's just me though. What about you?
I'm going to go across Market Street and say Drexel. And look, they were 1-1. Stony Brook is not very good. They're 0-4 in conference, and they won by double digits up on Long Island.
There
Excuse
you
me.
go. There you
So
go.
nice of them to get the win there, but they really should have beat Towson, and they really should have walked out of this week 2-0 and 3-1 in the conference. The lone loss being the opener at Campbell. So late in this game, there was two possessions where look, Kobe McGee had 18 in this game, was 7 of 14, was awesome. But Yame Butler 21. He had 15 free throws. He's their craftiest guy. He is their best bucket getter. I want that when I give Yame Butler the ball, not to say that Kobe McGee can't do this, but when the chips are on the table and the game's on the line, Yame Butler's the guy on this team I want to have the ball in his hands to go get himself a bucket. And on two possessions with the clock expiring, and then they had a possession that ended with a Deuce Drake missed three that hit every part of the rim and didn't go down. With about 20 seconds left, they had a possession to ice the game. They're up three. And I wanted to see the ball in Yame Butler's hands. I wanted to see him get a touch at least one of those two last times because I think he could have iced the game or with the game on the line and the clock running out in regulation, would have liked to see him get downhill and potentially get himself a free throw. I mean, he shot 15 free throws in this game. He shot over half of Drexel's. They shot 27 as a team. Towson had 22 as a team. This dude was getting by people. He was getting to the line. The problem was he made 8 of his 15, and Drexel was 15 of 27 as a team. You know, that couple more, and this has not been a great free throw shooting team all year, but you make a couple more of these, this game's done in regulation. You're not even playing overtime. And not that this is a bad loss, but for me, this would have been a signature win on Drexel's season. I know the win at Fordham is great, but this would have been a signature win for them to say, hey, they just beat a team that's expected to be a top dog in this conference. They're now 3-1. This Drexel team is starting solidify how real they are. And as many people counted them out, thought they'd finish at the bottom of the conference, they're certainly starting to be a surprise that people are taking notice of now. So you look across the board. Cole Hargrove had 19 in this game. He was 8 of 12. Kobe McGee had 18. He was 7 of 14, played 40 minutes in this one. Yame Butler had 21. They had some guys turn in some good performances. It just wasn't enough against a really good team. And then Yame Butler with a bit of a mistake late. Deuce Drake misses that three. Dylan Williamson from Towson comes running down the court, gets inside the 3-point line. Yame Butler with his back turned, and then Tarky, who just made a three to make this a 3-point game. He tries to stunt, pick up the dribble with his back to the shooter. The ball gets kicked out from inside the 3-point line back to Tarky, who, give him credit, he nailed a really long and a really tough three. But unfortunate to see some small mishaps in Drexel's case, because I do think this is a solid team that will make some noise in this conference. This win would have solidified it. People would have taken notice of this one for me. And at home, to have one fall through your grasp like that, that's why they're a loser, because they win this game. It's a damn good 2-0 week. And you're saying, hey, they look for real now, and those Dragons are starting to solidify themselves as a top team in the conference and as a real player. So not that they're not, but a win Saturday at their own place I think would have gone a really long way. So I'll take them as a loser. They had a win slip through their fingers that they definitely could have had.
Yeah, Cope, if they win that game, they're probably one of our winners this week because they would have been the only unscathed team in the Big Five. So unfortunate to see, like you said, not a game you want to lose at home, first and foremost, but then also the way the game had played out, where they did end up having that game go to overtime and then kind of get boat raced in overtime a little bit, let's be honest. But unfortunate for Drexel. I think, they're a young team, though. They can bounce back from this and learn from this, which I hope that they will, and I think they will. So we will see about that. All right, Cope, we're done with last week. We're going to move on to this coming week. Got a lot of game action, of course. This isn't slowing down, folks. This is conference play. Get familiar. Cope, let me hear a game or two that you're looking forward to this week, because we do have some good ones for sure.
So I hope I don't steal any of yours,
You might.
because
It's okay though.
I'm gonna be at hoping to hit 3 games this week. I was gonna try and go to LaSalle tomorrow. Not I think it's a little too much for me if I try to do that, but I'm gonna be Temple Memphis Thursday. As a fan, very much looking forward to that. That's got to be one, because this team is 13-3. Excuse me. They have a loss on a neutral court in Maui to Auburn, who's number one in Ken Pom, and rightfully so, is now number one in the country. Lost at home against Arkansas State, sneaky good Sun Belt, sneaky good mid-major team you might want to put a pin in for your bracket. And then Mississippi State at home, who they're 20th in Ken Pom, and a damn good SEC team that under Chris Jan just grinds people down defensively, and he's a very, very good coach. So 13-3, terrific record. They have some really good wins on here. Michigan State, UConn, San Francisco, Missouri. Like there's some good wins. Clemson, some good wins for this squad, but they have some serious, serious offensive firepower. Now they turn the ball over a lot, but they have athleticism and speed to get out and play fast. Offensively, they shoot the three very well, and they're powered by one of the best scorers in the country. Eric Dixon's number one. PJ Haggerty, last I saw, was number 4. He's an over 42% three-point shooter, gets to the line a lot. It's just a hard dude to keep in front of you. Offensively, I mean, this guy, he's going to get to the line. He can knock down shots from all levels of the court. He's a matchup nightmare, and I think the matchup of him and Jamal Mashburn, of two of the best scorers in the country and in this conference, going up against each other, is going to be one to watch for sure. But experienced, not deep, but there's a lot of college ball played on this team. The center, Dane Danger's a big-time player coming over from Illinois. He's a big center who's going to be a load inside for Babatunde Dorodola to have to keep in check. I was skeptical about this Memphis team, Kyle. We had LT from Full Court Network on here to talk AAC in the preseason, and he said, hey, he made me look pretty bad, saying, hey, they got Tyrese Hunter from Texas, and he's an experienced guy with some tournament experience that's played on some teams that have gone deep. He's a pit bull defender and a fast, athletic guy in his own right. He's a 40% three-point shooter as well. Kobe Rogers, who's a familiar face who played at Wichita State, he's a terrific three-point shooter. This is the fifth best three-point shooting team in the country. This is a 40% three-point shooting team with the quality that they have. So offensively, this is a team that's going to be tough to have to play against. Kyle. Offensively, they rebound pretty well. It's an athletic, physical team with some speed and some scoring at the guard spots that we've kind of seen from Penny Hardaway since he's been in Memphis. So, gonna be a really tough matchup for Temple. They'll see a familiar face with Nick Jourdain as well in his second year at Memphis since he left Temple. So good game for a lot of reasons. This is the best opponent that's going to come to the Liacouras Center this year to play the Temple Loud. So I have all eyes on that one. And then Friday, I will be at Wells Fargo Center for Providence at Villanova. Aaron Bracey will be at St. Joe's VCU, so me and him are going to kind of split up so we can get coverage of both games, but was more than happy to go down to Wells Fargo and see Nova play a Big East game there. They're always fun. Place is usually packed. The fans, the students, they all travel really well for the game, so very, very much looking forward to being down there. And I think it's a team that Villanova, quite frankly, is better than and should correct their loss against St. John's playing against. This is a team in Providence that offensively they turn it over quite a bit. They don't force any turnovers defensively. And offensively they've had their struggles without Bryce Hopkins. So he's going to be a guy to monitor. I know he's kind of been in and out with his injury from last year. So he's a guy to monitor because this has not been a great team if he's not been on the court. And they are certainly beatable by just about anybody if Bryce Hopkins isn't going to play. So I think Villanova's a better coach team than Providence is. Guard play, I think they're better. They obviously have the Joker and Eric Dixon, who just, I mean, he's going to get his anyway, no matter who he plays against. And you look at some of the bigs on this team, and there's two freshmen in Oswin, not even going to attempt to, Uramunse, I want to say. I'm not even going to try to say this guy's last name. Anton Bonk, and then Krista Sandico, who
Yes,
came
of
over from
course.
St. Joe's. So there's some young bigs on this team that I think are going to be overwhelmed when they have to play against Eric Dixon. So for a lot of different reasons, I think Nova wins this game. But anytime you get a Wells Fargo Center game for Villanova, atmosphere should be great. You bring in one of the bigger brands in the Big East. Villanova spanked Providence when they came to Wells Fargo Center last year.
I was at that game.
I
Yes.
could foresee the same thing happening this year, but I will be at those two games. So those are the two I'm going to preview for this week.
There you go. There you go. I unfortunately will not be at any games this week, but I am looking forward to the most out of the ones you did not mention, although you did kind of mention this a little bit, but St. Joe's VCU obviously is going to be my number one this week, maybe even my number one anyway, besides Temple Memphis. Listen, we saw a probably S tier version of St. Joe's on Saturday. That was the best that I've ever seen them play. Let's see if they can back it up against a top two team, top three team in the A10 right now in VCU. This is a really talented team. Obviously, they won the A10 tournament last year. They were preseason top two consensus team in the A10. So this is a big test, and it's at Hagen. So they get the home cooking a little bit. They get the crowd behind them. Friday night game. I don't know if they're going to win. I think I am going to go with VCU just because I think they're probably the more consistent, the better team right now. I still think while St. Joe's, we saw their ceiling. That's a damn good team at their ceiling. Can they be consistent? Can they back it up and prove that they can do this game in and game out? They have not been able to do that quite yet. So this will be a huge test for them. And I'm looking for them to be consistent. I think they're capable of it. I think there's something in there that just hasn't been there for consistency's sake, and I think that they're capable of it. I don't know if this is the one that they're going to, but I'm always open to it, and if they can prove me wrong, I would love nothing more. But for right now, I'm going to take VCU in that game. And then also, I'm not going to talk too much about it, but I definitely am keeping my eye on Drexel Elon at the DAC on Thursday night as well, at the same time as the Temple game. Elon, also a pretty good team in this conference. They're currently sitting at 170 in Ken Palm. Drexel's like right below that. I last checked that they were like 180. I have to log back in. 188. That's what it was. So this is gonna be a really good game. Two talented teams. Obviously, coming off the loss for Drexel, tough one at that against Towson, who's a good team. Elon has another game tonight of this recording actually, so they're going to be, maybe not quite as rested as Drexel is. So this should be a good game. Two of the better teams in the CAA, I think, and obviously we love some mid-major, some low-major basketball, whatever you want to call it. So looking forward to that as well. And then some of the other games this week. Villanova actually has a game before that PC game on Friday. They are traveling to Cincinnati to the Cintas Center to take on Xavier. That's at 6:30 on Tuesday. LaSalle taking on Davidson at Glacier on Wednesday at 6:30. Of course, I mentioned Drexel, Temple, both playing on Thursday. And then, as you mentioned, Cope, Villanova on Friday at the Wells Fargo Center against Providence, and then St. Joe's VCU, as I just mentioned as well. So, we got a lot of this week. We got a lot of great games ahead of us. It should be a great week. Cope, any final? Oh, I also forgot Sunday too. Hold on here. Sunday, we got Tulane at Temple on ESPNU, 1 p.m., LaSalle at UMass, 2 p.m. on USA, and then Penn is having their Ivy League home opener on Saturday against Cornell. So some weekend hoops for you guys as well to tide you through. It's not all going to be divisional round football, though that is the best round of football that there is. But a lot of good stuff going on here. So Cope, final thoughts before we sign off here.
Yeah, looking forward to another good week of hoops. Safe travels to you as you depart.
Thank
Go
you.
Blues, up to Chelsea. Send me pictures. Should be great atmosphere there. You're gonna trade in hoops for a little bit of footy in London. So it should be safe
Yes.
travels to you. You're gonna have a great time there, and we'll see you when you get back. In the meantime, I'll find a pinch hitter for next week, and that'll take care of itself.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, I am going overseas family vacation, so there probably will not be a show next week, a podcast for us, but definitely make sure you guys check out Spaces next week with Aaron Bracey, Jay Copestick, and I believe Riley Frayne filling in. So shout out to Riley first and foremost for filling in for me, pinch hitting here. Uh, Obviously a friend of the pod. We love Riley. He does great work over at Mid Major Madness. But shout out to him. Shout out to you guys for keeping that going. Then shout out to you guys listening for tuning in as always, whether it's Spaces or this pod. So we're very grateful. We're very appreciative, and I am looking forward to getting back in the swing of things after I get back next week. So. Thank you again. Of course, you guys know where to find us. Make sure you tune in on YouTube to these podcasts. You could find us, our audio only versions on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, and of course on social media, Twitter and Instagram at Big Five Pod. So until then, I will see you guys in a couple weeks.